Laddie no go kill me. Laddie Martins Bobo you bad though. Abi make we go talk of today on the deck. Today on the deck. I won't go keep person before the money. Oluwa. This one gonna look like say no be shop one per finish. Laddie, my pikin for solutions. That boy, Blackie, the most Blackie person among us. Oh my God, that boy they terrible when it come to TB. Honeymoon. Oh, that's why they stay for nearby. He go far. To the year more, I love far. I know if you see one person say, Laddie, your friend in a male friend, yo. Everybody in a female. Now, so you go to hear say, now my classmate, where we did was. Now my fellowship member, in fact, now she be the choir coordinator. Where me I be generator coordinator, I be waiting. Lordy Matos. Shout out to Dolapo. Dolapo and Oyinkan Shola. This guy don't take for Ibadan. SOJ. So Oyinkan Sola. Now. So shout out anywhere where you did. Do honeymoon well. Me honeymoon can translate. I beg you. After 9 months, more can shop who say they don't want twins. Say the honeymoon of yesterday. I tell them yesterday. I say anybody will carry gift they come for like 1 a.m. No collect them more. Tell them say they knock the door. And now yesterday, okay, day before yesterday, night, stroke Sunday. If anybody carry gift to come say, I can't collect. And I say, the level where you did now, you did for agro. Okay, my people. Shongwe Jidoku na be my name. Akproko Gist amebo Akproko. No be from auto. Yeye Fumi Chima. Mama Kokwe number 1. All the boys follow Mama Waka. Okay, for Facebook at Solutions 939 FM. 9B we address or home address for yonder. Oh yeah, go there, go like at Solutions 939 FM. Ibrahim K. Kunfayakun, Mr. Dilo, your head is dead here. Jare Mofo. Hey, Chineke. I don't get this one. Jare Mofo. Okay, Jare Mofo. Okay. Thank you. Thank God say you no break. Even I say you for. More for. The very first story where I go read the given the country people is surprisation yo. This one shell for Nanja matter they happen for Nanja. Na volcano is shell He good make person they good. He good to be good. He good make person they good. Kano commercial marijuana man. Kano commercial tricycle rider. We return the missing 50 million naira to the owner. Sake of say he be righteous person, he be godly person, he be God-fearing person. We see 50 million naira for this kind of Yahweh with it and return unto the honor. Oh Lord, tomorrow. Life will don't good to come. Person see 50 million. Say you see 1.5 you return them. You see 50,000, you return them. You see 1.5 you return am. Make person come talk of 15 million naira. He good to make you celebrate this kind of person. They say the man wey return that money, my people. Now they carry waka on one radio for Kano. The chairman of the association, Alhaji Mukata Inuwa Yakasi. Hey, Mukata Inuwa Yakasi. He talks among the ladies. They say this organ where we say he return 50 million naira. They call look, so they say what did they go take appreciate this man? Now so then carry women, then carry and give them. Say make him marry 4 women for one day. Make him marry them together one day. Hey, oh just everything don't just for this man. No, he good make person they okay. Make person good make person they good. As he return 50 million naira, now so then carry 4 women give them. Say okay. Make them the do roster. Chelsea Man U. Oh Lord money. Now wait till them take give them. Now wait till them take do gift for that one. They carry 4 ladies give them. Tia rubber ladies. They say make she go there service them. Oh Lord money. Chai. Oh luau. Then Oga with the Oga for the Association of the Marwa, Alhaji Mukita Inuwa Yakasi, he got to say, among the ladies, 2 of his daughters did there. The matchmaking group promised 4 women for Ram for this man to marry. Where we say he go select from 10 women. Oh yeah, select it. Shena Blackie you want to be a yellow sissy. Oh yeah, choose it. They say she go now he go choose, he go select it. Say madam come, you lady come on, I don't like you. The boy in car, they say he don't show good character of our noble prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They say indeed he is trustworthy. That is why then decide to honor him with this ladies gift. No be men's gift. Ladies gift. Say to as you do oh yeah, continue to they take the 4 ladies, the shararid. Oh shararid. La ilaha illallah. Shana true say music word dey very dark. Hey. This na the story of how dem dey advise me make I join occult, make I join cultism, make I join cult so that I go blow my music career. Fino, Fino don finalize the talk yo. The popular rapper, Chibuzo, Nelson, Azubike, where everybody they call Fino, and he don't show face talk inside in days, as in the struggle as artist, he say na so they advise him make him join court, and of course making they do rituals, even one quick make name, even one day famous and famosity, and of course if you want to succeed for inside music career, you must join. You go join. Fino, where the summer day story, as in they advise the up and coming artists, say me they no follow shortcut yo. Say anybody wey follow shortcut in a shortcut to fire. No they follow shortcut. If you want come out from here, go Lagos, go straight, follow express. No they follow inside the bush. They come out for bush, enter bush. In they advise the young artists to make them put their test for quick success for check. And of course, make them be very careful with the just a record label out of the spirit without better reading and understanding of what the kind condition before they enter the contract. Now, so if you know they talk you. Okay, concerning the matter of Mohbad, Pastor Bakari don't allegate you. Pastor Bakari wallahi talai Baba blame Mohbad gone. Baba criticize Mohbad for saying Waka go join himself with the evil men. Oh Lord, the serving overseer of the Citadel Global Community Church, Pastor Tunde Bakari, he don't talk say that singer Ileri Oluwaloba aka Mohbad, he reaped the harvest of smoking and associating with the evil men. When they talk inside in lecture and sermon for Leicester for United Kingdom on Sunday, Bakari in talk say where the choice of name Mohbad greatly affect the later that particular singer. Bakari continue to talk say although he no blame the singer for his own death, Mohbad therefore he say he reap na the reward of he say in Wakago join body with the evil man. Let me that one. He can talk say my wife and I will listen to the tape last night on Mohbad matter. How many of you know Mohbad, the Nigeria artist wey die for 27 years? Well, when we say in they drink, they smoke, and they associate, they follow body with the evil man. You know, say the harvest they go come very soon, and of course, it go soon. Say they go fit cotton like that for the young age when they. See, I know they blame Mamo. I just they tell you, share Mohbad in a good name, Mohbad. Talk now, so Baba Pastor Bakari talk amo. You know, say everybody go to talk here. As Baba te siam na Baba te talk amo. Wetin be this? One Lagos driver motor man. He carry knife for come out he shook Lasma official. He shook Lasma officer. Now so he can't tear in own cloth to join. What can happen? Now so everybody they ask somebody will be say he be driver. Nobody sabi in identity really. They say he carry knife for come out and he begin to shook. He shook one officer of Lagos State Traffic Management Authority. After that no go gree. We know about the court disagreement we share between the two of them for constant roundabout area for Lagos State. Informate where they share where they happen where they reach us 9 talk say this matter share for Sunday. After we say the driver, this officer asked the driver make a stop or for the road within vehicle. Inside the video where we see we don't enter internet, they spread like weather light. The driver now with the CEO when they turn himself to I go naked myself. He naked himself that to say he tear cloth come out from him body. Inside the one commercial yellow bus with the number plate LSR 966YE. 100 people. We here and they tell the officer, you know we take this motor come out from here. You're not going to take this motor come out from here. How much I get it from money? I don't come out from 4 o'clock. What did you talk? How much is in my pocket? Where the time is that? Now so there they call with the mobile phone where they hand. Another voice now with they hear where they tell us my officer. We don't already see it inside the motor. One of them where they sit down inside the driver say, no mind the driver. Now that one they talk. This man go be jail. He go enter jail. That voice we hear them they talk inside the video. Inside another one, the driver they say he go naked and cause the scene. As he begin to do it, he they stand inside the vehicle inside the motor where belong to last mile officer self. When they come, they talk for inside the tourist statement when they pose. On Sunday afternoon, the traffic agency, they thought the driver, he shook one of the officer with a jackie knife. before he come later before they come police waka come arrest him. Che. The driver of the commercial T4 bus then catch him. Although he don't naked himself well for public after we say he shook the last man official with a knife. The naked driver last he enter police domoto. Police will come from Ikmori police station with the order from divisional police officer, the DPO. Hey, he don't tell when we hear about Boko Haram, don't they do shakara again? Baba God will help us, you. Boko Haram. Hey, Sebi, you don't ram before. Wait till come bring you, come out again. Boko Haram don't kill 10 person, oh. They don't kidnap 9 person again. Now this story they talk again. Boko Haram insurgent for Saturday, then waka go kill 10 farmers and then kidnap people from Mafa local government area for the state. Apart from the attack we shell for yesterday for late afternoon inside the field between Bulakunkuma and of course Maiwa villages where they for Baram Karua ward of the local government there. They say the insurgent in them wakalekele then sneak waka enter into the Zenari ward Meduguri Metropolis Party of the same local government Mafa of that same day Saturday and then squeeze out 4 million naira from the businessman where we said in name they no tell us. They say that one, if you know one day kidnap, make you pay money. Now so that one take money, savings solo. You no get money, you go follow Boko Haram. If you get money, then go drop you back. Why Buka? We confirm the attack you. In Samatok, he said the number of them where they don't kidnap now. Shade are 4. Although another informate person, Nine talk say Goni Muhammad. As he be say if it number. The number where they kidnap them be 9. Mechineke God make you help us you. Boko Haram wait shell again now. They say government key 70-year-old Fulani leader for Plateau. Government we don't talk say they carry go waka come the waka go kill one of Bonga Fulani or Gal leader for Plateau State Adamu Gabdo. Informate come to talk and say Gabdo. It be the Ado of Payam where they for Mangu local government no be Manguru. Mangu local government area of the state. They say they shoot them die by these terrible criminal people who are come with a gun for Saturday night. The state chamo of Mieti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, Nuru Abdullahi, in confirmation say, they don't kill him. He said that kill him now for Sunday. He talk him for Josie. According to our brother Yanam, he said the 70-year-old Fulani or Gachivo. Then they carry waka this government waka go attack him. Well, we say in the come back from one particular waka visit when go do for the district head of Payam, the top person for Plateau State Police Command, Alabo Avre, where we call him Sote to reach him talk, make it talk on top this killing, where we know if reach him, or news story people know if reach him. Now wow. Organizer, he don't organize it, enter wahala Organizer, he do enter wahala. Organizer don't enter life imprisonment. Sake of say wetin, if organize 15-year-old girl with with by fire by force, na he take organizer mo. 140-year-old one for organizer was Ibrahim for Friday. They sentenced him to life imprisonment by Ikeja sexual offense and domestic violence court. For say what they say, he take by fire by thunder. Enter go house for the body of this in wise 15-year-old niece. Justice Rahman Aushodi, we carry this man, when not the judgment, come to the prosecutor. Say they don't prove the matter case, they pass the incident. So, Oga, you go enter life jail. You dey for canais 15 years. Oh, ne bombe, holo bobo. Okay, now me, I don't carry waka. Now tomorrow be another day. Thank you so much. Zeke Nava, Gava Bushawaji, Mr. The Lord, the senior above Nigeria, SCN on top radio. You won't come here, but no coming for dream, coming for life. 080 64 0939 61. Until tomorrow, no be next week. God bless Nigeria. God bless Solutions.
Solutions 93.9 FM. We know they go anywhere. We day for you. Campaign.
Radio is all about information, education, and entertainment.
Maybe that's before now. Solutions 93.9 FM has raised the standard of radio broadcast to preferring solutions in all human angle. 939 FM, the remedy.
Radio is all about information, education, and entertainment.
Maybe that's before now. Solutions 93.9 FM has raised the standard of radio broadcast to preferring solutions in all human angle. 939 FM, the remedy.
To your Solutions 93.9 FM is the station. And of course, the show this Monday afternoon, the 25th day of September year 2023, is Political Update. Of course, my mandate on this show is to keep you informed, updated to the very last details of events, political happenings, things that have to do with governance, things that have to do with our polity, things that affect you directly, even indirectly. And of course, there are so many of these happening in our polity, evolving. Some are not just evolving, some are happening, some are rearing their heads, some issues even happening outside Nigeria that have direct implications for us as Nigerians. My name is Ayodiji Ajishop representing, and I tell you, it is always a pleasure and, of course, a privilege to be with you wherever you may be located in this global space. This is not something that I take for granted. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being with us. And producing me is Vic Riches, decked in on a Monday. I think that's a hangover from the weekend. decked in an Owambe outfit. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure being with you. Yes, so many issues are out there. NLC is threatening a nationwide strike TUC did, some stunts and marching the streets. There is a case ongoing in the United States regarding the status of the certification of the president. There is the Mambila contract that was allegedly awarded by a minister for the sum of $6 billion US. And this is a man that is alleged not to have powers to give out more than 25 million worth of contract. Yet he succeeded in awarding a $6 billion contract. And of course, the issue of palliatives, the issue of wage increase, and the issue of our economy. The dollar hit 1,000 naira mark over the weekend. These are the issues that we're going to be looking at. And how are you coping? And what is your role? What is my role? As democracy, is democracy just about voting? Do we think our role is just to vote? Vote every election cycle, every 4 years? I think we should understand that democracy goes beyond a 4-year vote cycle. If we desire good governance, we have a role to play more than voting. Yes, we're going to be starting now with our role. I'm always comfortable when I see Nigerians break basic rules of engagement. To my utter dismay, I have seen Nigerians breach and beat traffic lights with delight and glee. I have seen Nigerians thrash educated Nigerians, throw stuff onto the road in moving vehicles. I met a gentleman at a major hub in Bodija. He ate in this takeaway paper stuff, and he got out of the car, and then the thing fell off his car with the rice spilling on the road. And he was going to get back into his car, and I walked up to him. I said, "Gentleman, could you please pick that stuff up? And you're littering the road, and this you should not do this." Of course, the gentleman was going to ignore him, but I told him point blank that I work in the media space. I was going to put him live on air right away for the whole world to see, and his identity, his car number, and everything. Not until then. And I said I was not going to put him on social. I was going to put him on television, and not until then, that potent threat that he reluctantly picked it up. Of course, I'd taken shots of his number plates, and he had his wife and the wife's mother and the smoker. I said, what educated guy. So why are you doing this? What are you going to tell the illiterate? What are you going to tell your grandparents in the village? What examples are you laying for your children? Not until then did the man pick the stuff up, Of course, they were still aggressive after that. I was riding in a tricycle with an educated grandma, and as soon as the tricycle slowed down, the woman just flung out an empty plastic bottle of one of these soft drinks, and then the shaft of agbado. And I said, "Ma, what are you going to be telling not even your children, because the children will be adults, what are you going to be telling your grandchildren? What examples are you laying for them? It is not what you say, it is what you do." Believe you me, I had a conversation with an elder statesman. We were talking about good governance and accountability. And as we were having that conversation on here, the man said, "Are you sure Nigerians desire good governance?" I said, why won't we desire good governance? Why do we engage in all the campaigns? Why do we choose candidates from party level? And why do we go out and go through, Nigerians, the stress Nigerians go through in ensuring that they vote on election day? The stress, they build up to it. They will lock down the entire Nigerian nation up for those elections. Sometimes we have staggered elections. They will lock the entire state up. See the stress Nigerians go through, and you still say they don't desire good governance and accountability. The man said the good governance goes beyond going to vote at elections and choosing the candidate. Good governance means you have your own role to play. You put them in office. You keep them on their toes. You don't go to them for Congo of rice. You don't go to them for palliative. Government is giving us palliative. Nigerians, The statistics says 130 something million Nigerians are multi-dimensionally poor, and palliative is all government has to give. What is the meaning of palliative? Palliative is care, if it is medical, care given to the dying. They are not treating, they are just treating what is manifesting, the symptoms, not exactly the issue that has resulted in the symptoms that we see. I have headache, I start taking paracetamol. The headache might have underlying factors. You are not investigating the underlying factors. You are not even investigating, not to talk of treating it. Then you start taking paracetamol. If that does not work, you step it up. Maybe you step up to ibuprofen or something like that. So it is not about treating the causes of the symptoms. They are just treating the symptoms. That word palliative has effectively entered Nigeria's socio-political lexicon. Palliative. They took palliative, I saw them took palliative to palliative, and they were throwing palliative at people. And when the governor went out, I saw palliatives being given to people who did not look like they needed palliative. I thought palliative was for the poorest of the poor, yet they are not getting it. So you have a role to play. You elect people, they start conducting themselves like emperors. The moment you electing them, as I have seen in the local government where I come from, the councillors of that local government, every morning after a meeting, they would drive from Ogbomoso. I will mention the name of the local government. They would drive from Ogbomoso to Oyo to go and eat amala. Councillors, bloody councillors I call them. They would drive from Ogbomoso to go and eat amala in Oyo, and those are councillors representing people at world level. And then the moment they get elected, they become emperors. Everybody starts worshiping them. Some are even asking, are we wired for democracy? Is it culturally, are Africans Democrats? Because the moment anybody is elevated above the other, it is this Rankadede syndrome. If it is not Yoruba syndrome, maybe it is a cultural thing. We should start asking questions. Maybe we are not politically or socially conscious enough that those people that we put in office, they are our servants. They are to serve us. That is why they call them public servants, public office holders. Anybody that holds public office holds it in trust. We put our trust in him. And anybody that betrays trust, of course, that is a very grievous offense. So it is looking like people do not even understand that these people that are holding public office, we are not subordinate to them. They are subordinate to us because we put them into office. I do hope Nigerians will understand in due course their location. Or else, somebody was telling me yesterday that they saw a governor come commission a transformer. It is heart-rending. They will build 1 kilometer road that will be washed away in a few months, and then they will come and commission it. They roll out drums, and they will hire canopies and all of that. Money will go into that. I don't think we are getting good governance. We are not even getting governance. Go around the whole of Ibadan now. I don't even know of other cities. Yes, the governor is trying. He has built roads to connect all these roads. Ogbomoso is saying, Oyo is saying, Ibadan is saying. Yes, those transport hubs that we have in the Iwo Road. Two huge ones in the Iwo Road. Major transport hub, one in Molete, one in Challenge, and another one in Ojo. But for God's sakes, the roads are horrible. The axis of Ibadan that I have lived in that axis since 2009 November. I have never seen that link road that bad, riddled not with potholes. They are worse than potholes now. Of course, and you can add that to the cost of petroleum, the cost of PMS now, because everything will come down to cost of maintenance. A vehicle that drives on a 5-kilometer road with potholes back and forth, maybe 3, 4, 5, especially for commercial vehicles that might fly that road 20 times in a day. You can imagine the cost of maintenance that will come from plying that road that number of times in a day. And you can add that to the cost of PMS. Transporters, I understand, are groaning now. But of course, the people too that patronize them are groaning. I see passengers negotiating hard every step of the way to reduce or to manage the cost of transportation. I think Oyo State government will pay attention to the township roads. I heard that they are doing it zone by zone. Maybe they completed Upper Okiogun. Yes, they said that too much attention has been paid to Ibadan in the past several years. The government is paying attention to the other zones too. But for God's sake, I mean, we know the size. We know the size of Ibadan. We know the import of Ibadan. Of course, I mean, attention should be paid. Yes, we know that resources, the sharing and allocation of resources has to be prioritized. I do hope as the rail lets up, something will be done. Because especially the cost of maintenance of vehicles, automobiles, and whatever that applies those routes. When you add it to the cost of PMS, it's a very serious problem. Yes, and the people should engage their representatives. The issue of local government, most of these roads has to be fixed by local government, but what we hear in Oyo State, according to people, and what we see is that local governments are not actually as active as they should be. Elections are coming again next year, February, is it March or April? We do hope when we elect local government chairman, they will be elected local government chairman. And moving to the elections are not actually over regarding the petitions. But Ahmed Tinubu, the sitting president, won at the Presidential Elections Petitions Court, which is equivalent to the Court of Appeal. But of course, at least Obi and Atiku are proceeding to the Supreme Court. But there's a particular case that Atiku is pursuing in the United States, and that is the status of the certification of Bola Tinubu. It is quite interesting. It is called, I went through the Electoral Act, and the Electoral Act says that it's a pre-election matter. But for me, be it a pre-election matter or not, anything, any information that emanates from anywhere, especially regarding the status of the president in terms of certification, that does not tally or seem to tally with what is submitted will put a huge question mark on his integrity and character. Believe you me, of course, the court has said that Chicago State University should release the details of his certification. Of course, he has filed that that should not be done. And what I find strange is that the president says it will injure him. That is the word that was used. It will injure him. Why would the release of your certificate injure the details of your certificate? I attended University of Ife, Obafemi Awolowo University, and then they will release my result. Of course, the issues of results in tertiary institutions are very, very well protected by the law. I mean, you cannot go and access my result. You cannot go and access my details. It is very well provided in the United States. If all that is disclosed, the law says that any tertiary institution that does that without the consent of the student will lose federal funding or whatever federal patronage that they have. But for character and integrity's sake, why should I say that my university should not release the details of my result? And that brings me even to the issue of a code of conduct. When people are submitting their whatever, as a code of conduct requires that you file, whatever you are worth and all of that before you take office, and they call it declaration of assets. Why should all of these things be a secret? Of course, you will recall that former President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, is having issues with his own asset declaration, especially in the area of tax. He's currently battling that among other issues. So people should be transparent. You see, when you come into the public space, you are no longer, there's nothing private about you anymore. The moment you step into the public arena, you are just trying to walk around naked. That's just is as simple as that. So for the president, for whatever reason, to say, I could quote that the filing, but I will not bore you with legal stuff here. I am curious why the president will say it will injure him. I think the word irreparably was even deployed, but maybe that is just legal drama. Be that as it may, I do hope. But somebody assured me that Nigerians, no matter what come out of that place, no matter how much injury it does to the president, in terms of character and integrity, it will not amount to much because it is a pre-election matter. That another issue will come up that will attract our attention, and then life will go on. I hope that is not the situation. Currently, the Nigeria Labour Congress is poised for a showdown with the federal authorities. Why are they trying to do this? The question is that the issue of PMS. Now we remember to talk about the issue of PMS regarding subsidy. The issue of PMS, wage increase, the issue of transportation and all of that. We're not hearing anything from the federal authorities. We heard that the federal government has increased its wages or its salaries of tertiary teachers, workers in tertiary education by as much, I would say, as 25%, and at the basic level, and certainly that has touched a sector. But what NLC and the TUC are demanding is an across-the-board thing. But people are asking, is that the challenge that we face, or the issue of productivity, production? Let the economy be productive. Do not just, because they say this will create inflation, and we are battling an inflation percentage that is getting close, about 25% now, inching towards 30, and that is not wage increase. A word of wage increase and all of that is not the solution. But Nigerians are saying that is a quick solution to their challenge now. But that increment will be for the public sector and the organized private sector, the blue chip companies, industry, banks, and all of that. In fact, all of the banks have been, and the blue chip companies, silently, without making any noise, have increased the salaries of their workers since May 29, when the president announced the increment, or rather the removal of subsidy, because they knew those who are in the lower rank would not survive it. They quickly did that. But the public sector has not done that. But of course, yes, we know that the federal government will not just sit down in one corner. The president specifically cannot sit down in one corner and just increase salaries across the board. A lot of negotiations. You have to carry the states along. You have to carry the Employers Association along. You have to carry you have to carry the National Assembly along. You have to carry so many stakeholders. The bureaucracy of Nigeria, RAMFAC, the one revenue mobilization, I know he wishes. It's a painstaking process. But I think what the NLC is demanding is that, what is it that you're doing? Let us know. Let us see. Let the people see the plan, so that the people can key into it. They say there doesn't seem to be a plan, a plan of action. Then they demand that they want to, how do you intend to arrive at that location? They say, we are not seeing that. I honestly do wish, because of the costs of strikes, the enormous cost of strikes to the non-productive economy, especially like us, will be enormous. But NLC too has its own challenges of credibility. I remember about 3 months ago, I write on live on air, I spoke to the chairman of the TUC in Oyo State, and I said, I'm sure you realize that you have credibility challenges, because people have lost hope and interest in the labor centers, those two labor centers. They were coming from a period where the labor centers and civil society organizations played a critical role in ensuring that the military left Nigeria's political stage. And suddenly, the labor, in fact, it was during the days of Adams Oshiomhole that the labor movement started sleeping in the same bed with government. Obasanjo was president and commander-in-chief there. So maybe now, labor will be waking, steering up and waking up to its critical function and location in our society. But I also recall that a labor leader told me that they have reviewed their strategies and tactics, and that their primary assignment is to ensure the welfare of their members, not the welfare of Nigerians. Believe you me, the day I was told that, I was a little taken aback. That their primary constituency is the workers who pay check-off to them and not the Nigerian society. I thought by taking care of workers, by extension, they are supposed to take care of Nigerians too. And on the issue of subsidy may actually be back. Yes, subsidy surreptitiously has been reintroduced. Of course, at 1,000 naira to $1, PMS cannot be 580 naira. But of course, you will have seen the reflection in the price of AGO, the one that we generally call diesel. AGO has inched to the realm of 1,000 naira now. Of course, you and I know the consequences of that. Medium, small scale enterprises, the cost of that. And of course, in organizations like ours that we use so much of diesel, the consequences of that on the costs, the overhead costs, the cost of production, the cost of coming live on air, the cost is impacted by the inputs such as AGO, amongst so many other inputs. But I think the government has a lot of liquidity, is awash with liquidity now. I am reliably told that it is about 150 to 200 billion naira a month now that is being paid as subsidy. And yes, we are not in winter yet. We are not yet in winter. I'm told that the price of crude oil is expected to reach up to $107 per barrel by the time we peak for winter early next year. And of course, if it is around 94.5 now, it is what it is now, we should expect that it will inch even way higher, and then the issue of subsidy will go up. It's a two-edged sword for Nigeria. Nigeria makes more dollars selling crude oil. Nigerians pay more for PMS because everything now is supposed to be determined by market forces. But I think political expediency, because the government at the federal level might have realized that it is dangerous for it to allow the cost of PMS to spiral out of control totally, moving to probably 700 and 800, which realistically, because of the price of crude internationally now, should be the prevailing price of PMS per liter, 700, 800, thereabout. And of course, the government knows that that's a dangerous thing to allow. So they are cushioning, providing some cushion there without necessarily telling us that they are doing it. I think the system will be awash with liquidity, because if the only problem there is that we are not meeting our OPEC quota. We are not anywhere meeting our OPEC quota. That is traceable to the issue of crude oil that is being stolen. Well, we're told that it's about 400,000 barrels or more per day. I don't understand how that happens. 400,000 barrels of crude oil per day being stolen, but that is our reality, our peculiar reality in Nigeria. Therefore, government is definitely, there's an intervention of government in the price of PMS. I do hope we're not going back to the days of subsidy, as it were. And this is also linked to the issue of our refineries. Our refineries, we have 4 of them: Port Harcourt, Warri, Kaduna, and Eleme. We are told that Port Harcourt 1 will be working by this December. That is what we are told. But I've read reports that the reality on ground does not suggest that. That some of the equipment, some of the stuff that have been brought in do not tally with what is on ground. For me, and for those who I think you know, are suggesting that processes are being sabotaged to ensure that the reign of importation of products continues. It is a very, very strange one, but the people that are called the harvesters of rain, they have to, they want to hope that this regime of importation continues. And when the regime of importation continues, they still have their way. But I ask, in whose interest? In whose interest? Dangote refinery that is supposed to provide a little bit of cushion, please mark my words, a little bit of cushion, because the cost of freight will be largely reduced. Of course, it will still be selling at market-determined prices too. And if it's going to be selling at market-determined prices, we understand they will be receiving crude oil this October, thereabout. If he's selling at market-determined prices, and the Nigerian government is doing some subsidy, what now happens? These are very intricate issues that we have there. Yes, schools are back in session. The issue of education, the cost of education. I spoke to a proprietor of education this morning, specifically tertiary education. And he told me of the existential danger that private schools, universities, secondary schools, and all of that face currently. Well, he says they cannot increase, they have to increase salaries of workers, but they cannot increase school fees at the same margin that they are going to increase salaries and other things. Well, I attended a public school. Believe you me, I will, if that is going to improve the lot of the public schools, so be it. So be it. So that our public schools will become a growing field for Nigerian children, rather than all these private schools and all of that. Let me engage our listeners and viewers. This is supposed to be a conversation. This is going to be supposed to be an engagement, interfacing with the public. The one they call it, that's all right. Àwọn nọ́mbà tẹ́lẹ̀ pè wá sí lórí ètò, so that we will not just be talking down, so that this will not just be a monologue, because àwọn issues tí mo raise, àwọn issues tí ó kan gbogbo wa ní ètò ìdìbò tí parí nítorí pé àwọn kan ṣì wà nílé ẹjọ́ sanwó-dá tó ń sọ pé Tinubu ni, àwọn kan tó ti lọ sílé ẹjọ́ kan tiẹ̀ wà l'Amẹ́ríkà tó ń sọ pé certificate olóhùn ní kò tiẹ̀ ní. Wọ́n wá ní pé kán gbé certificate ẹ̀ jáde. Tinubu gangan fúnra ẹ̀ ló sọ fún kọ́gbà ẹ̀ lè gbé jáde o, ẹ̀ tẹ́ fẹ́ gbé jáde orí bákan. Well, ẹ jẹ́ kí n fún yín ní àwọn numbers that you can call us on: 0909 888 9939. Lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí àkọ́ that number: 0909 888 9939. Nọ́mbà tẹ́ tún lè pè wá sí ní 0912 222 2939. I'll repeat that second number again. 0912 222 2939. So that we can engage and interface and have a feeling. On the roads, àwọn ọ̀nà tó wà ládùúgbò tí, how do they look like? Ṣé wọ́n ṣe wọ́n ní àbí ó rí bákan? Let us know. And for how long? Local government ẹ bá wà àti ibi tá that particular road. Let us know how things are. And Shansikun palliative dodos, let us know whether you have received your palliative. Of course, my producer knows I don't even like that word at all because of what it connotes. And then schools have resumed. How much of school fees has been? How much has been added to school fees in the schools? Those are private schools in which you send your children. Tell us if you are contemplating withdrawing your children and taking them to the public schools. So these are the issues that touches each and every one of us and affects our lives. Since they say this is the space in which we are, the President Buhari said, this is one country that we have no other place we can call our own, and therefore we have to make it a better place. The issue of migration, those who are leaving, well, it is migration. I tell people that there is no big deal about it. It is migration. Migration is a part of human existence. After all, when I go to university, there are many foreigners who are lecturing in the University of Ife. Many foreigners, East Africans, North Americans, the British. In fact, I had a Scot for who taught me what do you call it, Greek philosophy way back there. So we had then Americans, Britons, Europeans, all of that. So even Africans, Ghanaians, Indians, and all of that they taught us in school. I want to migrate to Asibi Baidi. So it is about time and tide. It is those Nigerians who go out to acquire education. Somebody has assured me that in another 25 years they will be running back to Nigeria to find their feet. This is some of us cannot do anything about our DNA being Nigerian in nature, and as Vic Riches and his generation will say, we die here. But we're not going to die here, we're going to live here. We're not going to survive here, we're going to prosper here. I can tell you that. This country, wonderful place. This land, I call it the land of our forebears. Wonderful place. Wonderful place. There is never anywhere like home. And even within home, the Nigerian Union, there's still hope. You come from somewhere. And if you ask some people investing in where they come from, they say this is hope. This is the land of my forebears. Even some investments that you expect them to take somewhere else that will be profitable. But there's this attraction. There's this something that draws you to your root, to be a part of it, to give back to it, and to make sure that, so that is what is driving things around us now. Yes. I say I will read out those numbers again. 0909 888 9939. This afternoon is an engagement with you, rather than just sitting down here and talking as if we are Alpha and Omega. We have to engage. We have to know how it feels. We have to know what is going on with you. It's a season of resumption. It's a season of palliatives. It's a season of rains and potholes on our roads. It's a season of removal of fuel subsidy. They say Nigerians are resilient, but I'm wondering now whether Nigerians are not docile. What is it that we are going to resist? Everything that government throws at us, I hear Nigerians say, hey, Jama dupe lowo Olorun. I say, Ma dupe lowo Olorun. Say, yes, that's what the Bible says. In all things we should give thanks. Even if a knife is put to our necks, we should be giving thanks. I think there's a point in time where people should say, no, enough is enough. When will it be enough is enough in Nigeria? That's a question people should be asking. The government is giving, move back, then take more paid. The president came on here and started saying, there's a cabal of fuel subsidy. They are so powerful. Are they powerful more than the Nigerian state? That the Nigerian state, nobody is talking about penalizing them. Nobody is talking about investigating them. Nobody is talking about putting them in jail. Yet, the government say, since these people are very powerful, Nigerians bear the burden. No, we should bear the burden. What about the people who ripped Nigeria off and raped it? They will go scot-free. I think even with time, there is a need to do something about that. But we saw in the days of President Jonathan, when they set up a power probe, they ended up setting up another probe to probe the committee that was supposed to do the power probe itself. So Nigeria is a wild place. You set up a probe, and you now set up another probe to probe the people who are supposed to probe other people. Nigeria is a wonderful place. I'll be back shortly, expecting feedback for you. Do stay tuned. Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? So many years after independence. And of course, on the home run, I'll be asking you, independence is around the corner. Monday next week will be 2nd October. So 1st of October is Sunday. Nigeria will be 63 years old of independence. 63-year-old man. Is Nigeria looking healthy? Is it looking vibrant? Is it looking like it has a plan? Like it knows where it is going and how it is going to get there? Well, when I return, I'll talk about Nigeria at 63. Just stay tuned. Which way Nigeria?
I want to know which way Nigeria is heading to. Every little thing that goes wrong, we start to blame the government. We know everything that goes wrong because we are part of the government. Let's save Nigeria so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way? Inefficiency and indiscipline is ruining the country now. Corruption here, there, and everywhere. Inflation is soaring high. Let's save Nigeria so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh, sure, sure. Yes, I want to know which way Nigeria is heading to. We made mistakes during the oil boom, not knowing that was our doom. Some people now have everything, while many, many have nothing. Let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't fall. Which Inflation is a reality. Let's give it a chance to grow. Let's join our hands to farm the land so we can have enough food to show. Let's save Nigeria so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Way to go. I love my fatherland. Oh sure. I want to know. Yes, I want to know. Which way Nigeria?
Which way Nigeria is heading to 63 years of independence. Yes, 1st of October is the birthday of Nigeria, this Federal Republic of Nigeria. The land of our forebears will be 63 on October 1. That song by Sunday Okosun was done in 1984. That is 39 years ago. The question is, which way Nigeria? Do you even love this country? Let's be honest with ourselves. If you are asked, do you love Nigeria, this land of your birth, this land of our forebears? I don't think I require an answer from so many people, because the utterances of people against Nigeria. Of course, somebody did a song called Nigeria Jaga Jaga. I mean, if you love a country, you won't wax an album and call it Nigeria Jaga Jaga. Will you call your children Jaga Jaga? Will you call your uncle or aunties? Will you call a loved one Jaga Jaga? You wax an album. You sit in a studio to wax an album and call it Nigeria Jaga Jaga. I have heard terrible things. I have heard Nigerians say terrible things. I ask them where is all, and it is coming from within. That is the fact. And as a man confesses, so shall it be. It is what you desire. What you want for yourself, you confess and you work at. People do things. I say, why are you doing that? I say, Nigeria war. So that means Nigeria, you can do anything. Are we lawless people? Is it looking like you're a lawless people? Of course, you can get away with almost anything in Nigeria. On Sunday and Monday, we're going to be talking about Nigeria. Yes, I will be having a professor of political science on incidentally 1st of October, Sunday. And of course, Monday, I'm going to be having an elder statesman, a man of profound intellectual depth. I still spoke with him yesterday. I still had a session with him yesterday. And I know on October 2 in the morning, I'll be having a session with him on TV. But on radio, I'll be having a session with him. But preceding that, we'll have to lay a premise on Sunday. A professor of political scientist, he has been here a few times. Just because of the time factor, I will just take a professor of political science, a professor of governance specifically, and institutions. We have not grown institutions. I remember President Obama came to Africa, and one thing that has not gone away from his speech he delivered in Ghana is that Africa does not need strong men. Africa needs strong institutions. We will recall that just how many years, 3 years ago, a sitting president of the United Nations, United States, lost an election and was going to pull the nation down along with his laws. But the institutions of state withstood him. Nobody was shouting, don't do it, don't do it. It was the institutions of state that withstood him. Somebody was telling me a few days back, he said they will be talking about a coup scare in Nigeria. And the army, it was even yesterday, and the elder statesman said, and the chief of staff or the media image maker of the Nigerian army or the defense headquarters, we issue a statement that no, nothing is going to happen, that the armed forces guarantee the government and that they are loyal to the president and commander-in-chief. Should they be loyal to the president and commander-in-chief, or to be loyal to the republic? So we should be distinguishing between these things. Institutions, military authorities are subordinate to civil authority. Some of the opinion that the military brought us to this sorry path in which we are today. That we had a near perfect constitution, the military came and imposed their own subordination of a unitary authority on us. Of course, you will recall, if you are a student of history, what they call the Unification Decree by General Aguirre-Ronsi that landed us where we are today. You hear governors speaking. We are doing this with immediate effect. You hear we have taken over. In a democracy, you do with immediate effect and you are taking over. Is it a coup that you are plotting, that you are taking over immediate effect? There are so many things wrong with us, with our psyche, that the military hangover has done to us. In fact, somebody is saying that this is truly the first civilian that without the hand of a military manipulator that was elected in Nigeria. Obasanjo military. Obasanjo imposed Yaradua. Obasanjo imposed Yaradua on us. We haven't had a Senate president who was military. Obasanjo military. Obasanjo did his 8 years. Imposed Yaradua on us. And then imposed Jonathan on us. And then a full-blown military man, Buhari, came again into office for 8 years. That Tinubu is truly the first civilian without the manipulative fingers of a military behind him, so to say. Some of the opinion that we are in a hurry. That after all, how many years of civil democratic rule have we practiced? The countries that we reference in the United States, France, England, and all of them, they have been at it for centuries. That it does not happen overnight. That we have to grow the culture. Some say we are not even Democrats as Africans. But they keep insisting that it is the best form of government. Of course, we're going to be looking at the system that we operate. Some say that the system that we operate is structurally defective. I will not be doing the explanation. Those experts will be doing the explanation. Structurally defective. And also that if a structure is defective, do you remove the roof or do you just change a few blocks where the cracks are rather than address the structural defects? And when you are going to be addressing structural defects, you have to go to the very, it might even go as far as the foundation itself. So, we will not just be doing criticisms. We must prefer solutions, workable, pragmatic solutions to the challenges that we are confronted with. Somebody has always told me that in Nigeria we do not pay tax. Most of the taxes that people pay is not commensurate with the rates of tax. But at the same time, people say that there are people who pay multiple taxation. Federal government will tax you, local government will collect the same tax or the same thing. State will do the same thing. Well, when we do not even have a database of the identity of who is who in the Nigerian space, we have to address so many issues. The issue of identity, who we are. The issue of structures. I've had a professor of jurisprudence say Nigeria's 1999 constitution as amended is a fraud. That one's really baffles me. That is a fraud. That the opening sentence say, we the people. He said, where did the people sit down to agree to say, this is the constitution we want for ourselves? That the constitution itself is a fraud. And you cannot amend a fraud. You have to do away with it. Well, we had the conference of 2014. From those who participated in one way or the other in that conference, they said it was the best document Nigeria ever produced. And of course, you can add that to the Justice Uwe's report on the Electoral electoral processes. We're going to be taking a look at our electoral processes too, and some people will be in office. It's about 3 of June, July, August, September that people have been in office now. Some of them may still be thrown out eventually. That we should avoid a situation like that. I mean, whatever has accrued to them as salaries, allowances, and entitlements will not be taken away from them. Why do we have to engage in wastage like that? And there is also the big issue of the cost of governance. I felt a little quite offended to see the president's wife fly Nigeria's presidential jet and arrive in New York at the United Nations, purportedly ahead of her husband to the United Nations General Assembly. In what capacity was the president's wife going to the United Nations? Was it to address them or to? And of course, we were told that he went with wives of governors. I think that is actually irresponsible. I will recall that the wife of the director of the Central Intelligence Agency flew on the official jet of the Central Intelligence Agency with her husband. And of course, a bill was sent to her husband for the commercial rate on which the wife rode on that jet, because they said she had no business on that flight. We should see cost of governance being reduced. And believe you me, I have seen that political office holders can sometimes be captives of bureaucrats, the protocol people. They can become captives of protocol people in our bureaucracy. But if you are determined, what are you doing with, what are governors doing with the standard 1214 vehicle motorcade? What are they doing with it? That is a gubernatorial motorcade alone. Standard procedure. I can reel out which vehicle does what. I can recall that Governor Ajimobi, according to his chief deputy, wanted to reduce the very number of vehicles in his motorcade. And of course, bureaucrats steeped in their ways and trained in what they do, explained in quote to him the role of each vehicle in the motorcade. And I tell you, the American president, when he goes to New York is responsible partly for his safety. When he's in Washington, of course, the Secret Service are immediately responsible. You see him, yes, you can see him sometimes going around in a huge motorcade, but you will see mostly that those vehicles are of the local police and local agencies. Yes, you will see quite a number of vehicles that are presidential, yes. But the president comes to Ibadan, go to the airport, you will see probably 150 vehicles in that motorcade. That in itself can descend in